What is going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another episode of the Journey Podcast. Today, we are going to stick on the theme of environment and how to use it for growth. Again, this conversation comes from a topic that I talked about with the mastermind this weekend. I had a client ask me about setting their own standards and reaching a certain threshold. The example or what the challenge that she was facing was that she would get herself to a certain income level and then drop. And then she'd get her back to that certain income level and then drop. And she was saying, how can I set my standard higher and how can I break through that threshold? I've been at this threshold for too long. And what I said was this, and this is actually a lesson that I learned from my original business mentor, Ross Johnson. He was the one who really changed my life about success. And he answered a lot of questions about, how I view, or he answered a lot of my questions about how I view success and how I can grow personally. And so I got this from him. Now, when we are growing, we like to think that when we hit a certain level, then we will upgrade. And when we hit a certain level, then we will upgrade. But the problem is we cannot hit that level unless we upgrade. And so we are trying to hit a level that we can't reach. We can't reach that level because we're stuck in a certain environment. And when you stretch to that newer level, then you're able to grow into it. I don't know if that made sense, but I'll use a different example. It's like being a shark in a fish tank. You will only grow as big as the fish tank. Now, what we think about and what keeps us stuck is we think, well, when we outgrow the fish tank, then we will get a bigger fish tank. But growth doesn't work like that. You grow into your fish tank. And if your fish tank isn't bigger, if you're already too big for the fish tank, you're going to stop growing. Now, most people like to think, well, when I outgrow the fish tank, then I'll upgrade, right? When my income gets to a certain level, then I will upgrade. But it's actually the opposite. You need to get a bigger fish tank first, and then you can grow into the fish tank. So what I always tell people is that if you're stuck at a certain threshold level, stretch yourself. Do something that's going to scare you a little bit, that's going to make you grow into a new environment. The example or how this worked for me when I was getting started with my business is that I was living in an environment that could only get me to a certain level of income, right? I was paying $500 in rent. And I was splitting a bedroom with two other people. So there was 3 people in one bedroom. I was one of them. My best friend was another, and his girlfriend was a third. And we were splitting $500 in rent. And I would open up my window and I would see a brick wall. That was my view. That's how bad this apartment was. 0 AC, very, very hot. It was pretty miserable. But my thought process was, if I can cut down on my expenses as much as possible, then my profit margins would increase. But the problem was, in that environment, I was only able to reach a certain threshold because my environment didn't allow me to expand further than that. When it came time to it, my business mentor, Ross, he told me, dude, you need to get a new apartment. I said, what? How is that going to make me more successful? It's because when you pay more, you are going to hold yourself to a higher standard to make more. Plus, the confidence and the identity boost that comes from a upgrade in life is going to, allow you to perform better and also increase your own standards. So he was telling me to go from paying $500 in rent to paying $2,000 in rent. And that was a really scary jump for me. I was making about 10 grand a month at the time. So that was 20% of my income. And so I was really, really hesitant to do so. But what ended up happening is once I started paying $2,000 in rent, that then became normal. I also put it on myself to work harder to cover that difference. And now I feel like $2,000 of rent is nothing, right? And so what happens is you get stretched and it hurts and it rips and it tears and it's really painful. But then you heal and now you are all better, but also you are like that stretched version, but like 2.0, if that makes sense. Like you don't go back. It's not elastic to where you go back. You stretch, you heal, and now you're better. Right? And so when it comes to reaching a new threshold, I always say, do something nice for yourself. Do something that's going to give you identity credits back that will help you increase your standard. Another example is one of my clients, Cooper. He is 19 years old and he was making about $3 grand a month. And he's like, I feel really comfortable here. I'm making $3 grand a month. his environment didn't motivate him to work harder because he matched his environment. And he was trying to figure out, how do I increase my standard and increase my break through this threshold? I told him, dude, go get an apartment, go get your own place. As soon as he started paying rent, he started paying his own rent. He's like, fuck, I need to work harder. I need to increase the standard because, you know, now I have bigger bills. So I always say, like, upgrade your life. This would be the one case scenario in which getting a lease on a car that's super sick makes sense. For me, it doesn't make sense because I have other areas in which I do that, like living in California. But like, let's say that you're living at your parents' house and you don't really have anything to like work hard for. Go get a lease and work hard for that car, and then that will increase your threshold. Plus, when you have these things that add to your identity, it boosts your confidence and increases boosts your confidence, increases your confidence, and then, you know, you are now like an elevated version of yourself. So that's something to think about, guys. You feel like you're stuck at a certain threshold, think about what can you do for yourself. Hell, even take a vacation, take your dream trip. When you take your dream trip, you know, that's going to help you break through your threshold because now your identity just went way up, right? And so that's what I want to leave you guys with. If you are a shank, not a shank, you are a shark in a tank. And if you're waiting to outgrow that tank, you're going to be stuck at that certain threshold. You need to get a bigger tank for you to grow into. So with that being said, guys, I hope that helps. Peace.